Hello, welcome to video training. What we're going to be covering is General Ledger, Chapter 2, setting up your AP auto transfer. Okay, what is AP auto transfer? Well, so you have a better understanding of what we're trying to accomplish, let's go into accounts payable and see how it'll apply. Now, we're going to go in and post some bills, and we'll kind of see the different actions that happen depending on the options we pick. For example, let's go into posting. Let's go into enter bills, and we're going to start off with Verizon. Now, let's go look at our vendor record. Remember when we set this here up in accounts payable level 1, and we put an account number here. And that was one of the options. We can put in an account number, which means this is a single account we want to post to, or we can use what we call a multi-post code. So let's put a bill in for Verizon. Call it new bill. And let's just say it's $300, and I'm going to hit F12. OK to post. That $7,500 came because that's what we told it to do. In most of your accounts payable, this is the fashion that you're going to be using. Where most of the time, hey, look, it's an expense account. I have one expense account. Obviously, my accounts payable gets credited, and my expense account gets debited. Now, if I wish, maybe this is special circumstances here where I'm going to make this here 200, and maybe there was something special here, so I need to actually use another expense account. Maybe I'm going to say, look, we'll call this general expense account, and I'll make that 100. Obviously, you can make changes if you wish, which I did here, and now that posted. So that's kind of the standard way you're going to be doing it, and that may be fine. There may be no reason at all to use a multi-post. But let's look at something else. I'm going to type in Mass. Let's look at what we have for our vendor for Mass. On Mass, notice what we have here. We have a multi-post code called ELEC. Let's post a bill to that and see what happens. And we're just going to enter $1,000, and let's just hit F12. And notice what happens here. It automatically came up with this screen here, and it automatically distributed the amount of money. For example, my accounts payable is $1,000. Now, if I was paying this bill at the same time and I selected pay, it would have asked me what checking account, and that wouldn't be accounts payable. That would be my checking account that would have the credit. But then what it also did is it put 25% of what the total amount was and put that into this account called general expense account for general. It also put 15% and put it in here, electrical expense account for new boat sales. In this one here, it put electrical expense account for parts retail. This one here, it put 20% for service. So as you can see, it automatically distributed my money automatically. Now, there again, I can make whatever adjustments I want. If I want to change these figures, I can. I also can see the account numbers that actually are going to be posted here. Like, for example, if I wanted to display account numbers, there's my account numbers that it's going to. If I want to go in and make any adjustments, I can use any account number I want. So it gives me a lot of flexibility, obviously. So I'm just going to hit F12. It automatically distributed the money based on what I told it to do. All right, let's go in and look at this here. Let's say we've got this here, Sam Jones. We're going to post something to Sam Jones. Now, this is another reason why you may want to use auto post. Let's look at this here. Sam Jones is an employee. Now, this is something that we'll talk about when you have your consultation meeting with our GL expert, but there are various different ways of posting payroll into the system. One way is you'll do it individually, employee by employee. And this is how I'm setting it up this way here. Another method where you would just make one entry for all your employees. Another method is you may be using a payroll package and the interface will be automatically. Typically, most customers, unless you have more than 25 or 40 employees, it's probably more economically feasible to just use a third-party company like ADP, Paychecks. There's various third-party companies that do this. And at the end of every week, they cut the checks, they do all the work for you, and they give you a report, and you basically just take that report and key information in. It's probably a 15-minute job once a week. Most dealers that have less than, I'd say, 40 employees or 25 employees, probably 25 is the range where maybe you may want to look at a payroll package. Other than that, it's probably going to cost you more to do it yourself than it is to pay somebody else to do it. So be that as may, there again, this is just one way of doing it. If you're this is probably the way that most people do it if they have less than 25 employees. If you're using a payroll package, then you won't need to do this at all. All right, let's go in and post something to this here. Now notice that we've got multi-pay code as pay. I'm going to hit Sam Jones. I'm going to just say, we'll just say paycheck. And you know what? We're paying him at the end of this week, and let's suppose that his paycheck. This is the amount of his check. So this is the actual paycheck that we're giving to him. And we're probably going to hit paid right here, obviously. It's going to come up, and we may have a separate account that our payroll comes from, or we may not. So we're going to have, the computer's probably not going to print it. This is the check number. If it's not, you would change it. And now what it did, it came out here and said, okay, I'm taking $1,000 out of that checking account. Here's the check. Here's the check number. Now what you would do here is you'd say, okay, that's the amount of the check. It knows the check number. That's all been recorded. Now, from your ADP or Paychecks report, you would put in your total wages. And normally you would set this screen up so it's in the exact same order, that you're reading it from the report. I believe this one here is set up, well, there again, it's different by state, but this one may be set up by ADP. You would actually then key in your different amounts. Now, obviously, you have to keep it in balance. I'm now in balance. So you're basically just keying in the amount of the check, keying in the information right from the report, all your different taxes, hit F12, boom, it's made. So there's various different ways why you'd want to set up a multi-post. Now you can manually key these things in every individual time. This is strictly for saving time. For example, let's post, you could actually, let's take a look at this. Now I don't have a multi-post code here. Right now I'm just saying, okay, it's affecting that account. If I want to put a multi-post code here, let's just type in one called pot. And I'm going to hit change. Now, let's go over here and let's enter a bill and watch what happens. I'm going to call it new bill. Well, if I can do that right. And we're just going to say $500. There again, we can select paid, whatever option we want. It's not really going to matter. Now we're going to say pay. Now, I have this template that kind of came up. And there again, I told it that, okay, obviously that's going to be my accounts payable, my checking account. But sometimes when I'm using this, sometimes it's going to inventory. I want to put my freight expense. I want to put in maybe any discounts I earned. Maybe it's going to shop supply expense. If I'm in a country where, in fact, I need to pay sales tax, it would have been set up. Now, I happen to set it up where I'm just putting in the amount of the bill, and it calculates the sales tax for me. Or I could have done it different ways. So there again, that's all part of that consulting thing. Now, maybe out of this here, maybe $300 is going to my inventory, and maybe my freight expense is another $200, and maybe this here is $35. So you're going to distribute this pretty much any way you want when you're done. So that's what we call multi-post code. So now we know how that applies when you're entering bills or paying bills. How do you set it up? Okay, it's all part of General Ledger. Let's go into General Ledger from the main screen. Let's go into Maintain Source and Journal Transfer. We're going to select option Format 6, AP Auto. And we send you examples so you can get a good idea on how this is done. Just like we did on Format 1, let's take a look and see what's out there. First thing I'm going to hit Next. It says electric. Well, how did it know what to do? Well, I physically typed all this in. We went in and we basically said, this is how I want my cash distributed, like for example. You can make that code whatever you want. That's the code you're going to put in your AP record. You may have one code that is for 5 or 6 different accounts payable things. For example, if you wanted to have a profit and loss for each department, then on your expense accounts you would probably have an expense for every single department, and you'd want to do exactly what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here. And we're saying, okay, I can call electric. It might be in all my maybe mortgage payments, things like that. And I'm saying, look, at this here is either going to be my accounts payable or it's going to be my cash account or checking account if I'm paying it directly. I want 100% of that to go there. So if I type in a bill for $100 or $1,000, it's going to be a credit for the full amount. I then want, this is the sign that you want, and typically you can override that and change it. So normally that's what my credit is. It's either going to be my cash or it's going to be my payables. This is the percentage that I want taken out of here. So if I typed in $1,000, it's going to take 25% and put it to this account here. It's going to take 15% and make that my account. It's going to be a debit. It's going to take 40% and make that, and that's going to be a debit. It's going to take 20% and use that number, and that's going to be a debit. So if you want to put in a number, it's exactly like doing Format 1. If you need to change any of these numbers, you can click on it, pick whatever you want to pick, and now that number's changed. So you would actually, if put in how you want to distribute it, put in your percentages, put in the account that you want it to go to, make up the code, tie that code to your payables. Now it's all automated. You don't have to do anything. It'll mathematically figure this out for you. So there again, we're just trying to make life easy. So now when you put a $1,000 bill in, you don't need a calculator. You don't need anything. It's going to figure it out all for you. If in fact you want to change it, you can change it. When you're done doing this, you're going to hit change. Okay to change? Yes. So you're going to use the journal number of your accounts payable. You give it a description of whatever you want to give it, new, and you give it a code. And now, it'll save the stuff that's there already. So we do that so that you can clear the screen if you wish. I mean, if we want to clear the screen, we can do that. And sometimes that might be easier. Use the journal number as your accounts payable. Give it a code. You can give it a description. This is my AP or cash or a checking account. If I want it to be 100%, normally that would always be 100%. That's usually your bill that you're putting in. It's normally 100%. And you would put in your account. If you know the account number, you'd put it in. You'd put in what the sign would be. Normally that'd be a credit. It's either going to be a credit to cash or a credit to accounts payable. There again, probably the easiest thing to do is put the things down here. So you list all your accounts, whatever you want to have it be. If you don't want a percentage put in, we just want it listed, and you don't want any numbers filled in, you'll key it in, because there again, like on that payroll one, it's variable. You really can't put a percentage. Sometimes it's going to be different every single time, so you're going to want to key it in. You want it laid out for you, so you don't have to type in account numbers, make it a little bit easier, but you're probably going to want to key the numbers in. So what you put in here is going to be obviously the percentage. There's 25%. Obviously, this should add up to 100% if you're going to use percent. It doesn't have to be. All it's going to mean is it's going to take 25%, put that there. The rest of this is going to be 0, and you're going to have to manually put it in. So it's relatively simple. You'd give it the account number that you want to use. If you're not sure, double click, do a lookup. Obviously, these are normally going to be expense accounts. And pick the account you want, and now it's there. So, you can just key in as much or as little as you want. When you're done, you're going to hit add, okay to add. Now that's new ones in my system. If we hit next here, let's go in and look at, see what we got here. We're going to go in here. Here's my electric. Here's my new. Here's the one that was called pots that we looked at. Now notice when we did that, we had over here, we had 100% to go here, and I want it to be a credit. And then I also said, look, I wanted to calculate my tax on what I put in. Some people may not want to do that. They may want 0. This is only for Canadian people that are in Canada, where they have to pay tax on everything they purchase, as well as in other countries where when you purchase thing, even though it's for resale, you still have to pay tax on it. If you want that to calculate it for you, put a percentage in. It'll automatically do it. You tell it whether you want it to be a debit and credit. You give it the account number. So these are good examples to look at. By looking at these examples, you pretty much can see how it's done. It's very flexible. You can make it where you want, or you can not use it at all and just manually type it in every time you put stuff. So all it's trying to do is make things easy. Here's the one for pots. Here's my debits. Here's my credits. Keep in mind we can override it. If you want it to automatically put a number in there, it will. If this is 0, it'll leave that 0, and you would manually key the number in. So like if I'm doing a pot, sometimes the total amount I may want to put over here 1. Maybe sometimes it's 100% is going to inventory. Maybe sometimes it's not, but that's okay. If 80% of the time it is, and I'd want that to be 1, and then I would actually just hit F12 because it would be already done for me. If I need to make adjustments, I would just change the amount and separate. If I don't want it in at all, there again, that would be 0. So it's very flexible. And there again, if you need help setting this up, we'll be happy to assist you. Yeah, I'm going to click next. There's that payroll one. How it knew what to do is I said, look, the first line is always going to be the check. It's going to be coming out of a checking account. It's definitely going to be a credit. The second one is going to be my total wages. I got a check for $1,000. My total income might have been $1,300. That's going to be a debit. And then all my other expenses, whether it be Medicare, federal taxes, state taxes, all that kind of stuff, those are all going to be credits. There again, normally you don't want that distributed automatically. You're just going to have the full amount of the check. You're going to key the rest of the stuff in. If you got 10 employees, it's probably going to take less than 2 minutes. Okay, also you can set things up, to automate things when you're doing like a trade. So there again, it just makes things easy so you find yourself not typing in account numbers, just filling in the blanks. It's much easier to just fill in the blanks. Okay. The important thing is that when you're creating AP auto post, you always use the accounts payable journal number. Let's take a look right here, list journals. So you'll always use the accounts payable journal number. It's recommended to do that. So my accounts payable is journal 7. And then what I have is I have it categorized where I'm separating my electric, my new, my pots, my pay, and my trade. So much easier than it looks. This concludes setting up the AP Auto Post option. Okay, let's proceed to the next section.